Hi, I'm Katie Kempner, and we are here at the 3% Conference doing a Perspectives episode. Perspectives is a series of inspiring conversations with remarkable working women who are leading busy and successful lives. And right now it's my pleasure to be speaking with Bethany, who is ECD at DDB Chicago. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Katie.
Thank you for stopping by.
My pleasure.
So let's just start by talking a little bit about the 3% Conference and what you're doing here.
This is my third time at the 3% Conference, and I spoke on a panel yesterday. I'm speed mentoring today, and DDB as a network is sponsoring, is a proud sponsor of the 3%. So I'm thrilled that they're behind this initiative.
And what were you speaking about yesterday?
I was on a panel called "We Tried That," which made me nervous because we're trying, so we're in the process of doing. I'm on a member of the Better by Half board, and it's an initiative we started recently where the idea of we can be better by half, and it's a 50-50 initiative of, instead of having just women talking to women about women's issues and we're talking to ourselves, bring men into the conversation. And Janet Guillet and Mary Buckerich from DDB New York kind of gave birth to this idea inspired by a program that we were doing last year for International Women's Day. And so for International Women's Day, we created DDB Chicago created a website. One of my great female teams worked on it. And it was a website where we invited all the women of the DDB Global Network to send in their photographs and what empowers them. So we called it Empower. And then we were asked to create a film. I think American Airlines asked DDB, hey, we love this initiative. Can you create an in-flight film for us? And Janet and Mary pulled a team together at DDB New York, and they said, you know, the consensus was that all these women talking to women, it's like this just can't be a women's issue. We have to bring men into the conversation, and it's a little bit less about like what men can do, what men can do for us. It's like, what can women do for DDB? And so they gave birth to this Better by Half idea, and it was really built upon the DNA of DDB, and not a lot of people know this, or modern day advertising people know it. But when Bill Birnbach helped start DDB, it was revolutionary because he partnered art directors and and copywriters together. Before, it was copywriters had the ideas went to a different floor, art directors brought them to life, and it was not this sort of cohesive team collaboration. So not only did he disrupt and create a diverse pairing, he put Phyllis Robinson as the head of copy. First woman ever in this Mad Men boys club era to lead copy, which was seen as the most important part of the process.
Really?
So Phyllis was on top, she partnered with Bob Gage, and they continued this idea of partnering, pairing, and many other agencies adopted it. And so Birnbach is seen as the catalyst for the creative revolution of advertising. Phenomenal. It's in our DNA. So DDB, the feeling was we can be better by half. If we bring men and women together and have these conversations, we can our goal is to figure out what are the obstacles, right? Why do we have so many women coming into the business, but so few women at the top leadership roles and director roles and above, right? And so where our task is to identify the obstacles and create an action plan to address them with men and women in the room, half men, half women, different levels, different disciplines. And so we're on that journey now. We've tackled the obstacle path, so we've identified those, and now we want to verify them throughout the network.
What are the obstacles?
Well, I would say the consensus of the obstacles are, if you can't be it, you can't see it. And a lot of this language comes out of the 3%, which is really helpful. So some of us who have been through the process can go back and share back with the women and men that we work with. If you can't be it, you can't see it. DDB Chicago, we have 50-50 split, male-female leadership team, executive leadership, C-suite and executive leadership. But it's not how people feel about the leadership team. You only see a couple of white guys that are always talking, always sending emails.
Right.
So easy fix. Let's get the women to speak. Let's bring the women who are in these leadership roles, you know, to get out there and start have a presence, and let the younger women see that, and then turn the spotlight on some of the up and comers and show them that they have a forum to speak. If you can't see it, you can't be it. unconscious bias. I mean, it's probably the biggest one where we you start to talk about it, and the men just don't see it. So it's really interesting when they start to see it and feel it, how you're exposed to it. You go, I didn't realize I felt that way. I didn't realize you felt that way. And so I know, working with Julius Dunn, I don't know if you've met Julius. Julius is our new talent director of North America. He's working on a plan to bring unconscious bias training throughout the network, which I think will be phenomenal. Not just at the senior level, but to really expose people who can make change in hiring, in promoting, and building on the diversity. So, and not just with women, but diversity and inclusion, right? So it can't just be we need more women, more white women. We need more people of all colors, all genders, all sexual orientations, really reflect what our community looks like and how we make the work. So I would say another one is I hate work-life balance. I think one of the smartest things I heard at the, I was at the ANI Working Mother of the Year conference this year, and it was...
Weren't you the winner?
I was one of the mothers. There were 20 mothers that were recognized, so it was pretty awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I got to bring my youngest daughter with me, and it was
that's
sweet.
Nice.
And support for my agency, so that was great. I believe it was Carolyn from Facebook said, she's like, there's no such thing as work-life balance. There's just life. And it's this fluidity that, you know, you have to be where you need it most, and you have to find a way. Because I live my work, I love it. But I love my kids, and I love my family, and my fiance, and the dog who drives me crazy. Like, I want to be a part of that too. So trying to find that fluidity, so it's not like we have to find work-life balance, but a work-life that works is what we talked about. And then the fourth thing I'm going to blank on was unconscious bias. Can't see it. Work-life balance, and
it's okay because I want to talk about work-life balance.
Right.
So, and it's interesting that you said that. Carolyn Everson says that's, you know, so many women hate that work-life balance, and yet that concept, which you can call whatever you want, is really why I did this show Perspectives.
Right.
As someone always feeling out of work-life balance and knowing all the, and so let's not call it that, because
it's okay,
people
don't,
you know, people don't like it, but because a lot of women say, well, that's one more thing that I have to aspire to, and I don't know if I don't want to have that on my list. Whatever you call it, how you organize your life so that you can be, if you have children, and I know you do, a mother, you know, be happy in your personal life and happy in your work life, and how that comes together is what I'm interested in. So I'd love to talk just a little bit more personally about you. I know you have 2 daughters and a fiance.
I do.
And now I know you have a dog.
I have a dog and a cat. And she comes around once in a while.
And so what are some of the things, I mean, and you have this huge career, so it's got to be very challenging. You know, what are some of the things maybe that you've learned that you could share with us about figuring out how to blend all of those together?
Right. Well, it's been a journey, right? I've been in this business 20 plus, almost 25 years. And I've been married before, and I've been married to a partner who was not an equal partner and did not support my career and my success, and was almost threatened by it. So having a partner right now who loves me and loves my girls, and loves and supports what I do and say, and thinks that success is sexy and smart women are sexy, is a complete night and day. So what I was seeing, because I, you know, working as a creative director and above, all your peers and all the people that you work for mostly are men, and almost all of them have stay-at-home wives. Those that have children, and almost all have children, right? So you don't really ask men about work-life balance usually. I think it's happening more and more frequently now. But it's like we always used to joke, it's like, if I only had a wife. If I had a wife, the things I could do. Because if I had someone at home taken care of, the doctor appointments, the school interviews, and parent-teacher conferences, and homework, and groceries, and laundry, and, you know, you can hire nannies and house cleaners, and I have had, you know, it takes a village, and I have had so much help. But having that wife, husband, partner, fluid person, you know, we talk about changing roles. Graham is totally my equal, but he's also has made a conscious decision, and we've made a conscious decision. He's an artist. He's a playwright, actor, director, and he puts beautiful plays out in the world that don't make a ton of money, but he's got this great message of acceptance and love and very sexual orientation. It's, I really support his work. But we've had a tough couple of years as a family, and the decision has been made, especially when we moved to Chicago. He's home. So he's home. He brought his theater. The idea is he has his own theater company, and he transitioned the name and the structure of it to Chicago. But in the meantime, he's the one who's driving the kids after school. I drop them off in the morning if I can, if I'm around. Who's making sure there's lunches? Who's getting dinner ready? Who's doing the grocery shopping? Who gets the laundry going? And who coaches the soccer team? Who when I say I have to go to New York for 4 days, he goes, "Oh, we got this. Don't worry." And having that feeling of someone has it takes a lot of the guilt away. I still carry a lot of mom guilt. I don't, it's just I guess part of my DNA. But it's so much easier when you have someone on your team and you have someone who loves and supports you. I'm not saying you have to have a stay-at-home partner, but someone who carries equal weight.
Yeah.
It's huge, because to have to go home and then do all that on top of it, there's just not enough hours in the day.
You mentioned a word that I find really interesting because I deal with it myself all the time, which is guilt. I think I mentioned to you I was in LA last week on a business trip, and I got a call from my kid's dad, my ex-husband, about something that was going on, and I was like, oh, I'm across the country and I can't deal with this. And all day long I walked around with this feeling of, ooh, there's something a little wrong, not being able to put my finger on it, and then realizing like you can't be in two places at once. And what do you do? What do you tell yourself? And what can women do? Because it's a useless feeling to be walking around like this, right?
Useless, yeah. That has been a process for me, because when my girls were little, so they're 13 and 16 now, I can remember when Maya was a baby and I couldn't bring her. Like, I brought her over for my first shoot, her first shoot in LA, and brought my mother and the babysitter and split the whole thing. And then I couldn't always do that, and I would torture myself. I would be in Santa Monica and walk to the kids' playground and watch other people's kids just to see kids. It's like, what are you doing to yourself? And I came upon this really supportive group of women and moms, working moms, and we would be out and we'd be talking, and one mom was, and I was like, she's like, I use that time away to recharge, and I use it to, open a bottle of wine or get a massage or, go work out or watch a movie, and it's like my little breakaway. As opposed to feeling guilty, I can use it to recharge, so when I come home, I'm much more prepared to give back. And again, I think it's easier when you have someone on the other side who's supportive. And just the other day, so my 13-year-old is in this boy mode, and oh my gosh, and while Graham is great, he's like, why doesn't she talk to me about the boy stuff? I don't get it. I'm like, well, it's sweet, I don't know. So I was on a plane, and that feeling. It's not as extreme as, you're in LA and your daughter's not at school, but you shut off your phone when you get on a plane, you shut it back, you turn it back on when you land, and there's a panicked message. Yeah. Mama, I need you. Emoji, 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 sad face, crying, crying, crying. And you're like, 2 hours ago she needed me. What is it? So I text her right away. I said, what's the matter? She goes, oh, it's okay, boy problems. Graham solved it. I'm like, okay. So after many, many years and lots of self abuse, I think I'm getting better at it. And I also think, my daughter, Maya, my eldest, is 16, and she has had a really tough time with mental illness. And I think that my guilt and wanting to overcompensate for everything that I wasn't giving her, or giving both of them when I wasn't there, wasn't doing her any good. Yeah. And so it wasn't helping me give her very strong, safe boundaries. And so I was giving in, and I was doing things out of guilt as opposed to what I needed to do as a mom. So it was a very tough lesson for me, but it was lessons through lots of family therapy and individual therapy. It's okay to say no, and say no often, and let them know why, and then it's done. And so I can't give you everything you want because I wasn't there today. It doesn't matter. And so that has been, again, a life lesson that's been really important for me.
That is a terrific point, because I know for myself over the years, between being divorced from my kid's dad and not always being there because I've been working, I have said yes when I knew no was the right answer. Yeah. And I think, a working mom has to feel, any mom, but has to feel empowered to say no when it's really the right thing. Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one. Yeah. So, we could talk all day.
I know we could. I'm sure we have plenty of stories to swap.
But I would just like to end by asking you, If there's one piece of advice that you could share with everybody walking around here today that has helped get you through your life that you could share with us, what would it be?
Somebody said it just recently in the conference, and I've nodded my head strongly because I've been saying it for a couple of years. Ask. If you don't ask, you will not get it. Women have this tendency to keep their heads down and work hard and think they'll be recognized. I did that for years. Mm-hmm. And then I had to start asking. I had to ask for more maternity leave. I had to ask for more flexible time. I had to ask for, a raise or a promotion, and keep asking. And I had to ask for help. And I think as a strong woman in business, I don't need help. I'm going to do it all, and you just can't. And it was the one lesson I got from Lean In that I thought was really valuable from her book. I didn't agree with all of it, but that sense of like, you can't do it all at home, and if you can just accept help and move over a little bit, so that as opposed to leaning, just lean over and let them help you, other people help you, it's a lot easier.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you.